flies on his forehead. Did you see?
Oh my god.
So we just covered Troll 2, and I know what you're thinking. What about Troll 1? But don't worry, they have nothing to do with each other.
Also, I'm kind of loving the fact that they're goblins and the movie's called Trolls 2.
So when Harry Potter has more trolls and more Harry Potter than the sequel to Troll, you gotta ask yourself, what went wrong? So how does a sequel to Troll end up with no trolls? Well, it may not shock you to learn that the working title was actually Goblins, for obvious reasons. Goblins being a monster this movie is filthy with.
Ooh, so I'm definitely gonna get
that
motion
camera angle
sick.
is like, yeah.
Vegetarian goblins at that.
Vegetables make you goblin.
And of course, just like American Psycho 2, originally had no connection to the first movie at all. And even better, there's a Troll 3. Yeah, it happened again. And this time the disconnected project was called Crawlers. And you guessed it, no trolls here either. But like this movie, we are blessed with weird killer plant messaging. In part thanks to the designs of Laura Gemser, who helped bring these creations to life.
I mean, that's pretty cool makeup.
Is that it?
So in the spirit of cinematic tradition, the studio decided to try to market it as a sequel to a movie that Patrick Goldstein of the Los Angeles Times described as a clunky, poorly executed shocker. Accolades this film would be lucky to achieve.
This is my house.
Oh my god.
Dog, it's goblin spelled backwards.
And now, I'm going to try to explain the plot from memory. Pray for my soul.
Oh my god.
So what are we? Are we goblins?
Yes. Yes, they are goblins. The goblins live in the Goblin Kingdom here in this town of Nilbog. They lure people over to the town to sacrifice because they're mad that they eat meat.
Smoked carcasses. Smelly bladders.
Somebody sat down and wrote that out.
And so what they do is the witch lady, who might or might not be like their queen, that she gives them a potion that turns them into plants, so then the goblins can eat them.
And then they're going to eat me.
Yeah, probably.
Oh my god!
But sometimes the potion turns you into plants like to eat, but then sometimes, like with Arnold, they turn you into a tree that they have to like milk to get I guess that's how she makes one of the key ingredients for the potion.
Dude, I just can't get over the kid getting tickled to make a milkshake for his friend.
And then that's the stuff that they have to feed to humans to like keep the cycle going and turn the other humans into plants. I don't know why they have to eat humans. If it's because they want to like eradicate the humans, I don't understand why they're not like luring people like, you know, to the town. They just kind of wait and hope.
They're like a midsummer community, just
Yeah.
really poorly written.
That's pretty much what's going on in this town right here.
I'm sure you'll all enjoy Nilbog, people.
Oh my
especially
God.
the strangers.
Neobog is goblin backwards.
But it's trolls.
But they're it's trolls too, but Neobog is goblin backwards.
Troll 2 opens with Joshua Waits listening to a story about goblins told by his grandfather,
What is this? Freaking Princess Bride?
whom we find is recently deceased.
Grandpa Seth was telling me to stop.
What?
You must banish him from your mind.
What?
What the doctor said.
After Joshua does his best to banish his grandfather from his mind, we meet the rest of the family, including his mother, Diana,
I'm worried about Joshua.
And I might be a robot.
his sister, Holly,
I feel like there's no reason to see that much of her crotch right now.
her boyfriend, Elliot,
You trying to turn me into a homo?
Would it be too hard?
Excuse me?
and his father, Michael.
Who sits on the couch like that? Put your leg down. Why? What?
No.
Who is not particularly fond of Elliot.
He cut off your little nuts and eat them. He can't stand you.
My dad's gonna eat your nuts.
Meanwhile, his father, Michael, has a strange obsession with the farm life and has arranged for a home exchange vacation with a rural family for a month, like The Holiday with Jack Black, but in Utah. Now, eventually, once this exchange is made, we're gonna find that the family is actually a group of goblins.
Oh my God!
Which begs the question, why is Michael the one initiating contact? Why not just have the goblins be the ones who called the Waits family to give them an offer so they could lure them into a trap? What would have happened if Michael had been really into the city life? Did the goblins just kind of wait around for people?
Did they really wait till it was dark?
They're just in the house. Eat the sandwiches!
We'll be forced to kill you violently.
Oh my god. Jimmy John's. That's how Jimmy John's delivers their sandwiches.
Now let's pause to take a moment to talk about story structure. We are in the guts of the third act. This movie is begging to reach the climax. Our heroes have broken through any bastion of pretension as to the nature of the townsfolk or the limitation of their understanding as to the nature of the townsfolk. So the only place for the story to go from here is direct violence. But here, of all places, is where the plot decides to take this horny ass break.
It's corn.
It's got the juice!
And mess around with a side character because he forgot to die before we got to this point.
Oh.
Oh, hey. Oh, why?
It's too late. This baffling scene should have taken place a long time ago.
So this is actually an excerpt of my OnlyFans content. No way, dude. Whose fantasy is this?
I never want to yuck at anybody's yum, but that, like...
I will. I'll yuck the yum.
Or better yet, if we're still messing around with Elliot's friends, who by the way have the ability to die at least, which makes all of their plight much more menacing than the Waits family, then why aren't Elliot and the boys just the main characters of the movie in the first place?
Oh.
I thought they were about to
Yeah,
make
I was
out.
like, whoa, were they about to kiss?
If we just got rid of the Waits family altogether, then the Scooby-Doo gang would actually allow for a more straightforward horror film. They're already a multi-person college-aged victim pool. They even have a final boy who survives. So what's with all the nonsense of having the two separate groups? If Elliot's friends are only in the story to create some kind of tension between himself and Holly, there's a million other tropes that they could have used that don't involve having to cast like 3 extra people.
Gotta get speared by...
Got freaking speared.
Speared.
By not trolls. Goblins.
So the heavy lifting they must be doing is having someone who can actually die when your main cast is all unkillable. But this guy doesn't even die, and Diana does. So the only question I'm left with is,
Who are the goblins?
The goblins?
Oh.
What happened?
God, it's awful.
okay, so this is a part that I forgot to talk about earlier, so I'm doing it now. Part of the issue with this movie, the actors were not given the ability to understand temporally where their scene fit, what emotion they should be feeling in any given scene. The problem this causes is that there's a lot of moments where the actors are absolutely not matching the energy they're supposed to be, giving off with context of what had just happened prior. So here's an example.
Don't you Hey, wait a minute, stop it!
All right, angry dad, angry dad.
So, kids, how's life?
Not angry dad. Just completely forgot that the reason he drove down here so fast, so angry, in order to kick that dude's ass who was just talking to his daughter like this.
Don't you Hey, wait a minute, stop it!
And when he finally gets out of the car and walks up to go meet them,
So, kids, how's life?
but then he remembers again in another take.
Listen, Mr. Waits.
I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't speak to people who arrive late and upset their girlfriends.
So what happened to this guy?
So, kids, how's life?
See what I'm saying?
Listen, Mr. Waits, we need to have a serious talk.
If you want to have a serious talk, you'll have to forget about your friends to come to our house. Otherwise, you forget about Holly.
All right, I'm coming.
Later.
What are you doing here, Elliot? Mom, Elliot's part of the family now.
Nothing has resolved. Nothing has changed. I don't know. And this is where we finally meet the family that they're gonna swap with. But something seems, I don't know, off about them.
Like, why is that kid in a newsboy cap and some fucking
Got a
suspenders?
microwave and video.
But they couldn't have been all bad because we find out that they left a delicious green feast behind as a housewarming present.
Typical country hospitality. Let's dig in.
It's just like biscuit with green icing.
With green, yeah, like
But that ain't just green frosting. That's poison. And luckily, Grandpa Seth's ghost comes in clutch to warn Joshua against letting his family consume the poisoned food. But time is short and Joshua has to think on his feet.
I must do it.
Do what?
I must do it.
What?
oh my god.
So Josh's solution was to piss on the family's country hospitality. But
You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
What are you going to do to me, Daddy?
Tighten my belt by 1 loop so I don't feel hunger pains.
alright, I gotta stop you again, my guy. Because this meal was a surprise to your entire family. Meaning, you didn't even plan to eat it. So certainly, you already had some kind of plan for dinner, right? I mean, you drove here, so it stands to reason that you could drive somewhere to go pick up food.
What was the point of that? That scene was way too long.
She is very appetizing. What you
Has never talked to another human in her life.
Nope. It's like every actor in this movie doesn't know how they're supposed to be acting. You know what I mean? Like what the tone of the actual movie is. Not a single person's on the same page.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, Arianna. I agree. The actress who plays Credence hams it up so much you have to assume that she thought that this movie was going to be played like on a PBS Halloween special. But Michael seems like a character pulled straight from a soap opera, while Joshua just always delivers every line with 130% effort, and Diana just seems afraid most of the time.
need Grandpa Sip here!
See, there's Mom just looking scared with the same face.
It's almost as if all the actors were not given any real direction and just had to try to figure out the tone of the film based on the dialogue they were told to deliver.
How did I know that there was a fire extinguisher right there the whole time?
That's it, so important. Think at you and your line. Okay.
I want you to imagine being a dentist who agreed to be in a small part in a local movie, and then being given one of the largest speaking roles, with a script written in broken English given to you just before every scene, surrounded by a crew who can barely understand you nor you them, including the director. Then imagine the script was written predominantly by the director's wife as a way to rib her friends for recently going vegan.
Avevo molti amici in quel periodo che erano diventati tutti vega e quindi ero arrabbiatissima e allora...
And when you think of it that way, they kind of did the best they could.
And I thought, well, this guy's famous. He knows what the hell he's doing. And I mean, I was just, whatever, you know, I'll do whatever you say.
Some of the actors have stated that they offered to clean up some of their dialogue to make it sound more American.
Then we tracked down Claudio and we said, Claudio, we really think this will work better. It's a little more PG. This is how American teenagers talk. And he said, I know how American teenagers talk.
Who insisted on writing the dialogue himself along with his wife, even though they understood they had a pretty rough grasp of the English language.
That's not how you do. That's not American. And he would always say that to me. I don't know if he said that to you a lot. But he would always tell me what was American.
But even if that part is understandable, you can't blame the translation for the baffling corn sex scenes and the awful mask. This goblin mask looks bad. We know it looks bad. But you know, if I'm gonna be really honest with you, this goblin mask really ain't that bad. And hell, I'd go so far as to say that this goblin mask ain't that bad either. So why, oh why, is the shittiest looking goblin mask in the most predominant position on screen? And it's not just in this scene, but here, and hell, even here. I mean, all you had to do was swap these masks. Why?
Like, what is that one? What is that one?
Why are
It's
his
nothing like the
eyes-
other one.
Claudio Vergasso, the director of this movie's struggles were myriad from day one. Among the list was the producer, Joe D'Amato's philosophy around filmmaking at the time as a whole, which reportedly contributed to the anemic budget, affecting things like costumes.
I could see the plastic.
The designer of which being the only person on set to be fluent in English, Laura Gemser. Yep, that Laura Gemser. Which of course led into major communication issues between the crew and the talent.
That's it, so important.
But another major obstacle in the film is that Vergasso and his wife insist that certain elements in the film were intentionally comedic, such as the meat speech or Credence's clear overacting. And generally, I would call them filthy liars, using the Tommy Wiseau technique of pretending that, oh, haha, I was actually along all the time. I'm in on the joke too. But honestly, I believe them. I mean, tell me that Grandpa Seth and Joshua's exchange here is not a joke.
Holly was sleeping there.
I still have to learn the layout of this house. Cose buffe che ci sono nel film. Cioè, non ridono solo che non erano fatte per ridere. Nel suo insieme era una risata. Sorry, un momento.
I love the mouth's not even opening. Like,
Yes.
Do you want some, Joshua?
What is happening? That's the end. I love it.
So ultimately, what went wrong was the tension in the attempt to make a cheap/profitable film versus the desire to make a tongue-in-cheek comedy horror.
I just can't tell. Is it scary? Not
I don't know.
scary?
Is it like supposed to be funny?
The horror genre can just be horror, so if you see something funny, unless you know ahead of time, it's not obvious that it's intentionally supposed to be funny. And unfortunately, because the movie was trying to be done so cheaply, it makes for so many unintentional funny bits that it's extremely difficult to parse them from the genuinely funny bits.
Oh wait, so is this supposed to be scary then?
So overall, every moment in the movie feels like a farce whether it's intended to or not. The mistakes and the intent were so entangled that you couldn't see the forest through the trees. I'm sorry.
fog was thick enough to Then he began to hear strange noises coming from the depths of the forest. He noticed a presence.
Is that really just how that started, though?
It seemed to giggle as they followed in his footsteps.
Why is he so beautiful?
I don't